Hi friends, it's Maggie from Knitting in the Park. It's been a while, and in this video I wanted to kind of come back and reintroduce myself. Yes, my name is Maggie. I do knit and I do live just outside of North Park, hence Knitting in the Park. But recently with quarantine and COVID, I've been knitting a lot. My shoulder and my elbow are taking a beating, and I've had to scale back on the knitting that I've been doing, which has crushed some of my creative energy, or I should say I no longer have an outlet for that energy. So I wanted to get into a new hobby, and sewing seems like a natural extension or progression from knitting. So we're here in my basement slash office slash Finn's playroom slash family room 2.0, and I'm sitting in front of the first sewing machine that we tried. Now, if you follow along with my blog, you might be familiar with the story of the Saga of the sewing machine. If not, don't worry, I'm going to go through it quickly here. So we decided that I wanted to get a sewing machine, and we mentioned it to some family members, and they realized or remembered that my husband's grandmother had this beautiful sewing machine at her home, and she wasn't using it, so they said they would ask if we could take the sewing machine. And as far as they knew, it was in working order. It was a great, almost industrial machine, so it would be a good machine to, try out. I didn't want to go and jump into this with both feet and buy an expensive sewing machine and then find out that it wasn't for me, that I couldn't do it, or that I didn't enjoy it. So we decided, hey, free is pretty good, family heirloom, even better, why not, right? So we actually got the machine while I was away, so someone dropped it off at our house for us, and when I got back, I had already started my latest blog, the circle skirt. So this was my first sewing project that I was going to use a machine for. Because we hadn't gotten a machine, I actually started sewing the hem by hand, continuing to practice hand stitching. I also did a few sleep sacks for Finn by hand. Again, testing out the waters, see if I liked sewing. So I was really excited to bust out a machine and finish this skirt. It's a circle skirt, so for everything that I've read, it should have been super easy and straightforward, just, a few seams to put in there. But when we first got the machine, we went to plug it in, and it whirred to life. However, the needle didn't move. So my husband lovingly started to take the machine apart so that we could figure out what was wrong. It was really weird that I, the non-mechanical one, was explaining to him the mechanics of a sewing machine and how it works. So he was amazed at the level of kind of technology that went into a machine. And I believe this one's from the 80s, if not the 70s. This is a Nelco machine. I guess I should back up. It's a Nelco machine, and it is the bicentennial edition. That's why you see the 1776 here. Now, it also says, because bicentennial, 200 years later, that it, 1976, but I don't know if that's when this particular machine was made or that's when Grandma bought it. This furniture or housing that the sewing machine is in is actually from an older sewing machine. So my husband's grandfather took out our grandmother's original machine and installed this one when she first purchased it. So it's kind of cool to see everything still in here. It has the knee treadle or pedal instead of the floor foot pedal. I don't know I think the chair's blocking it. There's some built-in storage here. It's just a lovely piece of furniture and a great machine. We just couldn't get it to work. And when we figured it out, or when we took the machine apart, we realized that the belt had just completely fallen to pieces. And so that night of sewing was done. So the next day we went out to our local Joann Fabrics and bought a replacement belt, which we then came home, installed, and then I started sewing again. Actually, I started working on another sleep sack for Finn. Yes, I know it's jersey, I know it's a stretchy material, probably not the smartest move to start with, but I did really want to get this done for him. I also didn't want to mess up my skirt. So I think that's why I picked this. But it just couldn't handle it. And the replacement belt, which again was a universal old cheap belt, broke. So at this point I was just really getting pent up and bought a sewing machine, which I'll show you in a minute. It's a Husqvarna Viking Jade 20 machine. It's beautiful and makes learning to sew so much easier. Now, I don't want to get rid of this one. This is a family machine. It's seen a lot of love. It's given a lot of love, and it's just really a beautiful sewing machine. Now, that being said, I need some help. We know that we need to buy a new replacement belt, and my husband says that he knows what belt we need to buy. But if you've worked with a Nelco machine or a sewing machine of this age and you know or have a suggestion on what belt to buy, I would love to hear it. Also, it seems like the tension is pretty rough or pretty tight on the machine for the thread. And I know that there's a tension dial, but playing around with the tension dial doesn't seem to alleviate the tension that is on the spool of thread. We have taken it apart, we have cleaned it. The machine is oiled, so we've kind of gone through steps 1 through 10 to try to get this machine back to working order. If you are familiar with rehabbing vintage or older sewing machines and know steps 11 through 20, please drop them in the comments for me so that we can get this baby back into working order. She needs a little bit of love, but I know we can get her there. Yeah, and I'll keep you posted as to what we decide to do with this beauty. We are going to probably move it from this space in the basement office down here. We have a lot of sewing machine desks now. So this will move, and then to replace it, I have my great-grandmother's sewing machine desk table housing kind of a thing, and where it has, this has one leaf, that desk has two, which I don't think we have room to put out, but it does have a little bit more drawer space, and it's just a beautiful piece that just matches. Well, I love this. I love my great-grandmother's desk, and it will be sturdy enough for the Jade sewing machine. And then we also have another one that's even older from Germany, and then my mom has an old Singer base. So for some reason, this family is obsessed with vintage antique sewing machines and desks. Thanks for sticking through the video and hearing the saga of the sewing machine. There's more detail on the blog post, so I will drop that into the comments if you're curious about trying to buy a sewing machine in the height of quarantine when supply chains are disrupted everywhere for everything and nothing is in stock. And stick around because I will be talking about the circle skirt that I made and some of the other projects that I've been working on. Hopefully some baby/toddler sleep sacks, because those have been our saving grace in terms of getting Finn to sleep through the night and feel comfortable and secure, but also safe. And then some other fun projects that I'm gonna try. Some more skirts, some projects that use the leftovers. What is it called? Cabbage, the cabbage from my circle skirt. And yeah, just all around lots more creative videos. I also plan on doing some more knitting videos. I've got a wonderful Yarn Swift and ball winder that I got for Christmas that I'm obsessed with. And also some little tips and technique videos too. So please, 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 please subscribe, stick around, like the video, give it a thumbs up. Drop me a comment if you have questions, are curious why I picked sewing, what I'm doing with all of my knitting, how I store my knitting, anything. I'll hopefully try to answer questions. Thank you.